Good morning, everyone. This is your weather hazard briefing for Monday, November 17th. We're observing the last little bit of precipitation shifting through the extreme southeast corner of the state this morning. That low pressure system will continue to trek eastward, so the day will trend drier. The week will also be mostly dry for a good portion of the area, and we're going to see a continuation of those above normal temperatures through much of the week. So our key points, those rain and snow showers are going to continue for the first part of today with only a small portion of the area really seeing any additional accumulation. That's going to be our areas further east along our borders with Montana and Wyoming. But it is important to note that snow levels are dropping to just under 7,000 feet this morning. So our higher elevations could see some additional light snow accumulations before that system fully departs. But we've got lower chances for very showery precipitation come this afternoon, and those will continue throughout much of the week. So part of that is because of a split low pressure system arriving around midweek, but much of southeast Idaho will be caught right between those two lows, the way models are showing those lows tracking right now. So it's looking like much of the area is going to stay dry for much of the week. And aside from that, daytime temperatures are going to continue to run right around 5 or more degrees above normal, with cooler temperatures expected by next weekend. Our weather risk outlook for the next several days. While this looks very filled and very active, much of this is going to be very, very low impact. We do have that precipitation band continuing to shift eastward this morning. So the areas that are going to see most of the additional accumulation will be the eastern highlands, although we do have slight chances for some additional very light accumulations in north central Idaho as well this morning. But starting today, heading through late week, we aren't completely certain about amounts and timing, but with the low pressure system being split with us caught between those two lows, any accumulation looks to be very light, will be right in between those two centers of low pressure. So very slight chances for rain and snow showers. But as we head later into the week, temperatures will cool down a little bit. So for our higher elevations, those chances will trend greater for snow versus rain. But like I said, still, at least right now, amounts look to be very, very minimal. So while this is very filled, just think very showery activity with very light accumulations, with chances just persisting throughout the week. Current satellite imagery, as that low pressure system shifts eastward into Wyoming, you can see the wraparound moisture here. So we've got a combination of anywhere from low stratus, like up here in the blue color here, along the Montana Divide region. We got anything from that to mid to high clouds out there this morning. And forecast wind gusts for the remainder of this morning. So as you head out for work, you could experience some gusty winds, generally in the 20 to 25 mile per hour range for our peak, at least, across portions of the Snake River Plain. But as you'll see here in a moment, those wind gusts will trend lighter heading later into the day. Chance of precipitation today, like we already talked about, greatest chances will be along our borders with even Utah as well, but Montana and Wyoming, as that precipitation shield shifts further eastward with that departing low, although chances do exist up here in north central Idaho as well. But the amounts, as you can see, are very light for what we're expecting over the next few hours, generally a few hundredths to a tenth. Some areas here in the higher terrain could see over a tenth, and this will be falling as a combination of rain and snow for those areas as snow levels dip just below 7,000 feet this morning. But generally just some additional light accumulations before that system departs this morning. Our high temperature forecast for today, very mild, above normal for this time of year, at least by 5 degrees across much of the area. So for our valleys, we're expecting to rise into the upper 40s to low to mid 50s again today. And for wind gusts this afternoon, the forecast looks very similar to this morning. So this is before those winds really start to taper off. So again, like 15 to 20 miles per hour possible for much of the area. But then as you can see, when we get into the evening, those gusts will really start to drop off, and then we're looking around like 10 to 15 miles per hour. And this is even for our gusts, so winds will really settle down heading into the evening hours. And chance of precipitation tonight. So just some very, very light, slight chances for precipitation heading into the nighttime, overnight hours. So just really in the high terrain up further north. Chances generally below 30% for most of the area. And for amounts, just to show you how little we're talking, maybe picking up a few extra hundredths for those areas. And our low temperature forecast for tonight, it's going to be very mild with all the cloud cover out there. So much of our lower elevations, well, much of the area in general will stay above freezing, but looking at mid 30s for a lot of our lower elevations. And our high temperature is expected for tomorrow, maybe a few degrees cooler or warmer, depending on where you are, but still generally in that mid, maybe low to even upper 50s across much of the area, but still running several degrees above normal. And our wind gust forecast for tomorrow afternoon, generally light because this is even gust, so generally remaining below, around 10 miles per hour for much of the area. And chance of precipitation tomorrow, we'll start to see some very, very slight chances increase heading into midweek as that split system starts to shift inland. But as you can see, just very slight chances as of right now for tomorrow. And for tomorrow night, looking fairly similar, but we start to introduce some slight chances across south and southeastern Idaho. And our low temperature is expected for tomorrow night, maybe slightly cooler, but again, we're looking at least around 10 degrees above normal for a lot of our locations, with much of the area right around right around freezing or so. Seeing more areas dip below freezing as temperatures start to cool heading into the week. And high temperatures for Wednesday. Still very mild, above normal for this time of year, maybe just by a bit less, but upper 40s to right around 50 for a lot of our lower elevations. And we'll stop there before getting into those very light amounts for the other days ahead. But just to recap, we've got that precipitation shifting through the southeast corner of the state this morning. So just really slight chances for very light accumulation sticking around for favoring the eastern half of Idaho. Snow levels will be dropping to just under 7,000 feet this morning before we start to warm up. So our highest elevations could pick up some very light snow accumulations, just as a heads up. Lower chances for showery precipitation this afternoon as that system continues to depart. And those chances will continue through the week with that split system incoming, just kind of keeping the pattern slightly unsettled, but no real sources of moisture working directly overhead. Our daytime temperatures are going to continue to run above normal, with not really cooling down until like next weekend or so. So thanks so much for listening. If you have any comments or questions, don't hesitate to reach out to us, and we hope you have a wonderful start to your week.